here we go. I can't promise that when I start talking about the ending, I may cry. What's happening, film nerds? Dave the Film Junkie here, finally getting to my spoiler review of Avengers Infinity War, take two, because I already recorded once, but I left out some things because I didn't write it down. Lesson to you guys, write shit down. Not to mention it was nice that I got to see it again also, I recorded actually Saturday and I saw it again Sunday. Anyways, that's besides the point. I don't want this video to be any longer than it is. Here we go! Infinity War! So it starts off pretty much where we left off with Thor Ragnarok, and we saw the post-credit scene, and this time it's like, okay, Thanos is on the ship. We got Loki, we got Heimdall. I always say his name wrong. Heimdall, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. You just Elba. Yep, sure as shit. I mean, I got it spoiled for me, but I actually guessed that it was going to happen. I'm like, Loki's a goner. I thought that he'd be a goner in the beginning, and sure enough, he was. It's pretty, we know that he's died, and even Thor addressed that he's died, before and has come back. But it doesn't look like he's going to come back this time, which is something Thor said too. And it was a pretty dramatic scene. He got his neck, pretty much either his throat squeezed by Thanos or whatnot, but it's pretty gruesome. And then, of course, Heimdall, I'm always saying his name wrong. He got stabbed right in his chest, but he had just enough time to send Bruce Banner, or the Hulk, he was the Hulk at the time, back to Earth, with the Bifrost power, with the black magic power. And it was a pretty cool scene. It was a pretty cool scene that, Loki, threw it back to Avengers because the line was used on him. He said, "We have a Hulk," and then all of a sudden, we get an awesome, pretty damn short fight between Hulk and Thanos, which of course eventually leads to Bruce Banner having Hulk erectile dysfunction, and he pretty much becomes useless throughout the rest of the movie, and it's kind of annoying. And he's pretty much the weakest part of the movie, and it's kind of disappointing that I rewatching Infinity War, trying to do the Infinity War challenge, watching the first Incredible Hulk movie, it's like, can we go back to that? So Thor ends up meeting the Guardians of the Galaxy. Of course, we meet up with all them while stuff's happening on Earth. We know that something's coming. Banner gets thrown back down into where Doctor Strange is in his sanctum. I can't say words. You know what I'm talking about. And then of course Tony gets a warning from Doctor Strange. I thought that was a little weird. He just shows up in a portal when they're in the park. I didn't really like that meeting, but after that, I like the banter back and forth. You could kind of tell that Doctor Strange is being set up to be the new Tony of the Avengers, and I really hope so, because like I said in my regular review, I think Doctor Strange was the all-star in this movie. Yeah, I know a lot of people were thinking Thor, but I think it was Doc Strange. So the Guardians have to split up because Thor needs a weapon. Now, a lot of people are nitpicking the shit out of this because I saw today a few times that, people were like, well, what, are we just going to ignore Thor Ragnarok when he said that he didn't need a weapon, because he's like the god of thunder, he could summon the lightning and pretty much destroy shit? First off, I think a lot of us are trying to ignore Thor Ragnarok, especially now. Try to rewatch it. I was okay with it the first time. I was like, it's like a parody of itself. It's funny. It's got its mama. But trying to rewatch it again, I cringe. My butthole goes like that. It's hard to watch now. They just didn't take it seriously, and it's pretty much going to be a throwaway. So, a lot of people are saying, that they're just going to ignore that, but I'm going, well, he needed to get the weapon. Well, first off, the Stormbreaker is, it's an Easter egg for Beta Ray Bill. That's his weapon. That was kind of cool. Peter Dinklage, everybody was wondering who he was going to play, and he played a big dwarf. That was kind of cool. He was big, but, he was still, it was just really cool. You got to love Dinklage. When he made the weapon, obviously, he even said that it will summon the Bifrost. So that's how Thor and Rocket and Groot get back to Earth, and he has an awesome entrance, which we'll talk about later. But it definitely was needed because it's Thanos. I also saw people griping, too, about how Peter is in this movie, which, there was something, you didn't... It wasn't like the normal Peter, but that's what happens, though. You have different director, different writers. It's the same way in comic books. Sometimes they're drawn different. Sometimes they tweak it a little bit to fit what they want in their story. But some people are saying, like, well, why would Peter, freak out over somebody that's a booty call. I'm like, well, he just that was just it wasn't even that funny. Well, it was kind of funny. It was a funny line that he said that he's like I forgot exactly what he said, but he said something about a booty call. They actually said that they loved each other. Am I the only one that saw that? She asked him to kill her if Thanos gets her, and he was going to do it. That was a pretty damn awesome dramatic scene. He was holding the gun right to her face, and he pulled the trigger, but of course Thanos, having the reality stone, turning everything into bubbles, but he was actually going to kill her, and he was struggling. He had tears in his eyes. I mean, come on. That's some good stuff. Another little twist, too, was, this got spoiled for me, sadly, but it was a pretty awesome scene, pretty dramatic. I give him props for this. So first off, they show on that planet, I forgot what it's called, where the Soul Stone is, and there's Red Skull. Fucking Red Skull. I mean, I was, like, shocked. Wow. I don't think it was actually Hugo Weaving, though. I think it was a different actor. But it was just kind of like, hey, there you go. We wondered where he went in the first Captain America. He touched the Tesseract and went up to space, and that's where he ended up. But Thanos had to sacrifice something he loved to get the Soul Stone, and she was laughing in his face. You love nothing. You love nothing. But he started crying. He started crying because he loves his daughter, even though it's not his biological daughter. Loves his daughter. Her face when she realizes, oh my God. And then that whole scene, I mean, it killed him inside. And this is why people are loving the fact of what they did with Thanos, because it made, he wasn't just like going, oh, I just want genocide. I mean, he did, and he's nuts, but it showed that he had a heart. I mean, he was crying. So Gamora offed. And then, of course, that leads to Peter losing his head, but I'll talk about that in a minute. When it comes to other things that are happening, we got Iron Man, Doctor Strange. Well, Doctor Strange gets taken, and Wong says, you know what? You guys deal with it. I'm going to stay here. Good luck. Probably listening to Beyonce or something. Yeah. Anyways, the Iron Spidey suit was pretty cool. It had the legs and everything, and it was, I mean, obviously Peter needed it because he was flying into space, and we kind of saw that coming, and everything. And then, of course, back on Earth, you have Captain America, Black Widow doing their thing, saving Vision and Scarlet Witch, which, yeah, I saw people pick that apart too, but, it's whatever. I mean, it was a cool little entrance for Captain America, but, I mean, we saw that kind of in the trailer, so. But, they're still kicking a lot of ass and everything. But the main thing was, on the spaceship, they end up in Titan. And this is what was just great about this movie, because you had half the group, or not half, but you had some of the group over on Titan, and then you had, everybody else in Wakanda. And pretty much they both had to take on Thanos. Doctor Strange had he did his little thing where he was looking at all the possible outcomes for what could happen. And there was like 14 million and something, but only one, and I'm going to talk about this more in another video, because I realized something, before I watched it again, and then watching it, I was like, oh yeah. So I'm going to do that on a separate video, but this is why I just thought, like, Doctor Strange was an all-star. He took on Thanos himself. He was doing some crazy shit, and he was made multiple versions of himself. He was taking on Thanos. He gave Thanos a good fight, but so did Tony. Pretty damn brutal, but the way that they all worked together and everything was pretty awesome. They almost got the gauntlet off, but of course Peter Quill, Star-Lord, lost his head. And again, a lot of people are upset about that. I'm just going, well, I mean, they needed something where they weren't going to get it. They were going to almost get it off, but it didn't happen. I mean, yes, they probably could have done something else, but I didn't care. I mean, the guy, he lost a woman that he loved. Okay, so he acted out. Yeah, I don't know. It's fine by me. So yeah, that all happens, and of course they all take their, they all try to defeat Thanos, and Jesus Christ. I mean, once Tony got stabbed, he got stabbed like right in his side. You thought, oh my God, wait a minute. I wasn't spoiled about this. The first time I saw it, it was, opening day. The whole theater gasped. They gasped. But, of course, he didn't actually die. He just got stabbed, and they sealed it up with his, like, cool, his ice stuff. And, pretty much they got defeated on Titan. And then, of course, Thanos shows up on Wakanda, where, a big war is happening, because, of course, they want the Mind Stone that's in Vision. And that was, all that was pretty cool. You got Bucky, you got everybody. I mean, they're all just kicking ass. I mean, it's your normal, like, hey, there's a bunch of creatures, and let's just start kicking and fighting, doing all this stuff. And, of course, Wanda destroys it, because Vision says, do it, please. And she struggles with that, because obviously they're in love with each other. She destroys it, kills Vision. You almost go, well, what now? But then you forget, oh, yeah, Doctor Strange gave up the Time Stone. And like I said, there's a reason why he did it so quickly. I'll say that in another video, but he's got the Time Stone, so he reverses time to bring Vision back to life, and then takes the stone off his head. And it was pretty weird seeing Vision, like, they made him all gray, and his eyes were just white, and he was just like a dead robot. It was I don't know why, but I was just like, creepy. Thor's entrance was absolutely fantastic when he just shows up and he throws the Stormbreaker, his new weapon, killing everybody. And they really redeemed Thor from Ragnarok. I mean, a lot of people were thinking that he wasn't all quippy and kind of dumb and just, I don't know. Like I said, I think a lot of us are just trying to ignore Thor Ragnarok. But, he was kicking a lot of ass, and he put in that final blow to Thanos. But good God. Thanos snaps his fingers for having all the Infinity Stones. And you're going like, whoa, what? Even Thor. I mean, this is where your heart just sinks. Because you think Thor just delivered the final blow. They're going to be victorious. We're okay. They only lost, a couple people, few people. But then it's just like, well, what just happened? What just happened? I mean, and then they have that really, really kind of cool scene where I think he goes into the Soul Stone, because that's where Gamora is. I think she's in like the pocket of the Soul Stone, and she's there as a little girl, and she goes, "Did you do it?" And then then it goes back, and Thor's he doesn't know what the fuck, and he's all, "What did you do? What did you do?" And then he just disappears, and some people might say like, "Well, yeah, he was injured." And then all of a sudden he wasn't. I was like, "Oh, well, he's got the power of God on his hand, or this hand, whatever the fuck hand it is." I think it's left hand. Anyways, so, he's got, of course he could just, do all that. Reality Stone, maybe, I don't know. But this is where it just gets so heartbreaking and so goddamn haunting. The look on everybody's faces. I mean, Thor is just like, he doesn't know what the hell is going on. And then you got Cap that shows up, and he's all, Thor, what's going on? What's going on? And then he's got this puzzled look on his face, and it's like quiet. All you hear is wind. And then you see Bucky, and he goes, "Steve," and then he just dissolves away. And then, of course, Steve walks up, and it's just like, what the fuck? Then it just starts happening. I mean, the sounds, because there's not really any music, and you just hear the, I mean, it's heartbreaking, because, I mean, you see Falcon go away, but, I mean, obviously, Rhodey was, calling his name out. But then you see Groot float away, and then, Rocket's right there, and it's like, no. And it's just, you start, and it was funny, because when Black Panther dissolves away, there was somebody behind me in my first showing that went, no! It shows you how popular Black Panther got. And that was shocking. It was like, what the fuck? Wanda goes away. I mean, everybody was just dissolving away. And it was just like, what the hell's going on? And then they go back on Titan, and everybody starts going away on there. Everybody. Drax and what's her name? I always forget her name. And then Peter Quill does. And then, God damn you guys. Peter starts, freaking out. Like, Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good. And then he just hugs Tony, and Tony's just like stunned, and he's like holding on to him. And he's like, I don't want to go away. And he starts crying. And Jesus Christ, just thinking about it, I'm just like getting choked up right now. And then he says, I'm sorry. And that harkens back to Spider-Man Homecoming when they had their interaction. He kept saying, I'm sorry. And then he just floats away, and then Tony's just left there with just Nebula. And of course, he's holding his hand, he starts crying, and it's just like, Jesus Christ. I mean, at this point, the whole movie theater is going, what the fuck? Thanos wins. I don't really think a lot of people saw it coming. The majority of people did not see it coming. But Thanos wins. He ends up at a cabin in some lake on some planet, and he's just like, that's what he wanted to do. He wanted to see a sunrise, and he saw it, and it's just like, wow. I mean, it's pretty intense. I mean, the fact that the way that they do it, and then the way the music is playing, you know, as that violin, I think it is, and then it just goes to black, and it starts showing the credits, okay? Because normally with an Avengers movie, it's victorious, there's music, just uplifting music, and there's crazy, like, you know, cool little title sequence, end credit sequences. No, it's bleak, it's boring, it's minimal, black with just the words. Just the words. And when they show Avengers Infinity War, it floats away, just like everybody else did. Dissolves away, and it's just like, what the shit? Then, of course, we have the post-credit scene with Nick Fury and Maria Hill. And, you know, they're doing their thing, and they're noticing that shit's going crazy because people are dissolving away. She dissolves away, and then he does too. But he summons on his little, like, old-school kind of device. He, of course, summons Captain Marvel. So apparently she's going to be something in Avengers 4. I don't know how they're going to work that in with, like, going back to the 90s with the movies. So that's going to be interesting. But there you go, guys. I mean, yeah. I mean, you can nitpick the shit out of a lot of things, but I mean, overall, it's just a good fucking movie. It really is. You know, the deaths and everything. It's pretty damn heartbreaking. And I enjoy the absolute shit out of it. And like I said, I'm going to do more videos about, you know, the Doctor Strange thing. And then, of course, Avengers 4, some theories with that. I'll do some more videos later on this week. There you have it, guys. That's my spoiler review. And, yeah, it's just, like I said, you know, Banner in the Hulkbuster costume. I wanted him to break out of it. I think a lot of people wanted him to break out of the Hulkbuster armor, and he didn't. He just kept having... Jesus Christ. I was just... Yeah. So, I mean, they just threw away that character. They threw away his character. But, like I said, Doctor Strange is the all-star in my book in this movie. So, there you go, guys. Let me know your thoughts about it down below. Hit that like, thumbs up button if you'd be so kind. Subscribe to my channel. Visit filmjunkie.com for all my content that I need to update. And then, of course, shirts and stickers in the closet. All right, guys? I'll talk to you later.